All right, welcome everybody to the Lakers Legacy podcast, where time to learn Showtime, Giannis, because the buck may finally and quite literally stop here. I'm your host, Jonathan Hernandez, and while your Los Angeles Lakers are currently second in the West with a 15-5 record, and Luka Doncic is currently set to have his second son, congratulations, by the way, all anyone can talk about today is the Greek freak and the non-trade request heard all around the world. And for a second there, it seemed like the Achilles pop heard all around the world when it seemed like Giannis went down with a non-contact Achilles heel tear. But luckily and fortunately, it seems like it's just a right calf strain. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, maybe it's more like a I'm not playing till you trade me strain on Giannis's part. Anyways, welcome to the show. On today's show, we are going to talk about the Lakers' prospects regarding trading for Thanasis Antetokounmpo and his older brother Giannis. Forget if he's older. Yeah, I think Giannis is older. And then we'll start this show by first ranking the Lakers' best assets to see if we have something here to work with. Then we'll go over the best possible trade package the Lakers can legally concoct and conjure up for the Milwaukee Bucks. And then we'll go over the most ideal package from the Lakers' standpoint, where they don't necessarily get gouged for everything that they're worth. And then lastly, we'll round the corner and land the plane by talking about how realistic a deal for Giannis actually is in the first place. And then secondly, whether we want to trade for Giannis in general. So that's the show outline. But first, before I get started, if I could please ask you guys to like this video, comment down below, mash the hype button, which is a new feature on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, mash the hype button. And most importantly, please hit subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you would like to help me out in any small way financially to keep the Adobe Creative Suite and StreamYard subscription lights on, please check out the Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, Venmo, channel membership links in the description box below, whether you're on YouTube, Twitter, etc. Also, super chats throughout the show are also very welcome and appreciated, and I will address your comments and thoughts immediately as they come. Okay, so let's start the show by ranking the Los Angeles Lakers assets with regards to what the Milwaukee Bucks would likely want. Let's start by ranking LA's assets from best asset to worst asset in any trade outcome first, so we can get sort of a lay of the land of things. One second, guys. Let me pop up the comments here before I get started. Okay, so as I said, we are going to start by, actually, you know what? I'm going to take the comments off because it seems to be getting in the way of things. If there's anything prevalent that I see, I will show them. And if you have a super chat, I will show that. Okay, sorry for all the back and forth, guys. Let's start by ranking LAL's best assets. And let me pull this up. And I'll explain my reasoning for this. All right, number one, I think we can all agree that right now, the Lakers' best asset is Austin Reaves. Now, Austin Reaves' situation is a little bit complicated, but because he's technically an expiring asset. And if the Lakers trade him, it's not like the Lakers are trading away Austin Reaves' restricted free agent rights. Austin Reaves this upcoming summer is going to be an unrestricted free agent, which means he can walk from any team. He can technically walk from the Lakers, even though the Lakers have his full bird rights and can offer him the most out of anyone. That's what the Lakers would be. That's what the Lakers would be trading to the Bucks. They'd be trading Austin Reaves and his full bird rights. So if Austin is traded to the Bucks for Giannis, the Bucks would then have his full bird rights and be the only team that can offer him the max that any team can offer Austin. Do the Bucks want to do that? I'm not sure. If they want to keep him, they probably would have to do that. But would Austin want to stay in Milwaukee after this year? You know, anything can change on the flip of a dime, as we all know. And so Austin Reeves' current expiring deal makes this a little bit complicated. But having said that, in my opinion, I still think Austin is the Lakers' best trade asset. And we'll get into Austin a little bit more towards the end of this episode because I actually think his meteoric rise this season makes a Lakers trade for Giannis a bit more possible than I had thought at the beginning of this season. But anyways, even with all that said, even with all the caveats regarding Austin's current contractual status, I think Austin Reeves is the Lakers' best asset. He's still only 27 years old. He's right smack dab in his prime. And even though the Bucks are essentially trading for the rights to pay Austin his max or his near max, I still think that's worth it. So there's Austin Reeves, number one. I think the Lakers' best asset. Number two, this is arguable / debatable. I still think the Lakers' second best asset is their 2031 first unprotected because, yes, you could argue that, well, if the Lakers get Giannis and Luka together, that 2031 first is absolutely useless. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, 2031 is still 5 or 6 years away. Like a lot of things can happen, as we all know in the NBA. Giannis almost went down with an Achilles heel injury. First round picks, especially unprotected, 5 or 6 years out are still very valuable, and especially valuable to a team like the Milwaukee Bucks who build their team out via the draft. So even if let's say that draft pick isn't so good, I mean, it could still wind up in the 15 to 20 range. You can still find stars in that range, right? And so I still think that 2031 first is probably the Lakers' second best asset. Now, you could argue about this next, the third ranked asset here, and I wouldn't push back too much. So Austin Reeves, number one, the 2031 unprotected first, number two, although I could hear arguments that that is still the number one asset. Number three, I think it's Adu Thiero. I know we've only seen like 3 games of this kid and 2 games in the G League, but given his player profile and the flashes of like extreme explosive athleticism that we've seen from him, I think he's our best like young, he's only 21 years old. He's our best young prospect that we could give the Milwaukee Bucks that represents like legitimate upside. And I know there are injury concerns regarding Adu Thiero and all that. And, you know, he's not a 3-point shooter at this stage of his career, but he's probably our best young asset outside of Austin Reeves, who right now is already 27, you know? So I would put Adu Thiero number 3 on this list, which, you know, kind of makes you a little bit queasy because you know that in discussions with the Milwaukee Bucks, they're going to be asking for that Adu guy. So Adu Thiero, third on LA's best assets that they have to throw out there. Number 4, this may surprise a lot of people, but I actually think it's Jake LaRavia, and I'll explain why. I think Jake LaRavia is the 4th best asset on this team because he's still only 23 years old. He still has potential, and even from the floor that we've seen from him, he's an easy plug and play guy who, yeah, maybe you want him to shoot more. Some nights you're like, why does he only have 5 points? But you know he's going to do the job for you both offensively and defensively. And again, he's only 23 years old. And when he fills in as a starter and gets more usage and gets more shots, like we've seen the ceiling for him, like he can pop off for 25, 27 points. But more so than all of that, outside of Jake LaRavia being only 23 years old, he's also on a very cheap cost control deal. $6 million this year, $6 million next year. And then after that, the Milwaukee Bucks, if they trade for Jake LaRavia, would have his early bird rights. So they'd be able to re-sign him to pretty much whatever deal that they'd want outside of a max that's reasonable if Jake LaRavia has continued to progress. So that's why I put Jake LaRavia as the Lakers' 4th best asset currently. Now, number 5, this may surprise you even more because you'd probably say, well, Rui should be up there. Rui's number 5 for sure if he wasn't number 4. And I'll explain why Rui's at the bottom here. But I would still put Dalton Connect as our fifth best asset for a lot of the same reasons that we talked about with Jake LaRavia. And I'm kind of looking at things from the Milwaukee Bucks standpoint. Like, if I'm blowing everything up, I just want as many flyers as possible at young dudes. And even though Dalton Connect is already 24, he's still a young guy. And more than that, as I mentioned with Jake LaRavia, he's still a player on a cost control deal that will give the Milwaukee Bucks his full bird rights, if they want to retain him, if he does progress. And presumably on the Milwaukee Bucks, on a, tanking team, Dalton will actually get usage. He'll actually get more shots. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to averaging 15, 16 points, So that's why I would put Dalton Connect as our fifth best asset. And even though he's struggled over the last, 6 months, he still has that sheen of being like a number 17th pick, first round draft pick who was slated to be, a top 10 pick who slipped. Anyways, Dalton Connect, number 5. And then number 6, we've got Rui Hachimura. If Rui Hachimura was on a 2-year deal and he was guaranteed next year, I would have him higher. But since he's expiring and making $18 million, even though I think Rui is probably the most talented out of Jake LaRavia, Dalton Connect, Adu Thiero, and would help the Bucks, win games or sell tickets right now, and is the most proven player, because of his contractual situation, he wouldn't be that valuable to the Bucks. For this year, he would get butts in seats, and people will probably come to watch Rui Hachimura play. Wouldn't be surprised if he averaged 17 points as a starter, getting more usage. But after this year, I'm not sure what the Bucks do with Rui. Maybe they see something in him, but essentially they're trading for the rights to sign Rui, re-sign Rui to $20 million next year. And I'm not sure how excited they'd be to do that with Rui Hachimura. Austin Reeves is a different story. Austin Reeves is the blue chip player that you kind of want to build your franchise around if you're starting things from scratch, if you're the Bucks. But Rui Hachimura, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what we do with him. I don't know where we go with him for the time being. It's great. Again, if Rui Hachimura was on for $18 million guaranteed next year, then the Bucks may even look at Rui as a trade asset that they can flip, because he'd be expiring $18 million next year. But since he's expiring this year, it's a little bit more tricky, which is why I have him lowest on this list. And then I don't have it up here, but obviously pick swaps is an important tool that the Lakers can use to sweeten the pot. Again, the Lakers, with Giannis and Luka, presumably they probably always have a better pick than the Bucks. But again, you never know. One injury could change everything. So that is how I would rank the Lakers' assets right now. Austin Reeves, 2031 unprotected first, Adu Thiero, Jake LaRavia, Dalton Connect, and then Rui Hachimura, and then pick swaps in there as a wheel greasener / sweetener. Let me know how you guys would rank those things, if you would like rejigger things around. A lot of this is kind of close, depending on, and it's also a lot of eye of the beholder stuff, right? Depending on what the Milwaukee Bucks want to do, maybe Adu Thiero is number 2 on this list. Maybe the 2031 first is number 1 on this list. Like, who knows? But that is how I would personally currently rank the Lakers trade assets if I were in the Milwaukee Bucks shoes. Let me know what you guys think about that. Now, let's actually take a look at the best deal that the Lakers can construct, like the most we can offer. And I actually put this deal through Spotrac. It checks out financially. The real deal may involve like a 4th or 5th team because there are so many moving parts, but I just wanted to, see whether the Lakers could pull off a deal with the Milwaukee Bucks, like straight up. Spoiler alert, they can't. They will need a 3rd team, which I have already accounted for. But here is a deal mainly involving the Bucks and the Lakers that financially works out. And this is, in my opinion, the best offer that we can give the Bucks. So let me pull that up. If I can get my mouse to work. 1 second, guys. All right. Let me make sure that I have the right view before I pull this up. All right, this is kind of a cluster, and I'm gonna need to. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that, and I'm actually gonna need to pull this up separately because I currently cannot see this because it's so small and there's so many moving parts. But 1 second, please. All right, so this is the most that the Lakers can offer. Let me run this through with you guys. And I apologize for those listening to this audio or to those listening to this via audio podcast. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to be looping the Brooklyn Nets in as a third team to help us out with the salary logistics to make everything check out. So here's who the Lakers are going to be giving up. The Lakers are going to be trading Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Maxi Kleber's expiring contract, Jake LaRavia, and Adu Thiero to the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's everything pretty much that we have as an attractive asset and a young piece to the Milwaukee Bucks. We will also be giving the Bucks the 2031 first round pick unprotected. We'll also give them a 2030 first round pick swap. And then we'll also be sending out, to make the money work, Gabe Vincent's expiring and Dalton Connect to the Brooklyn Nets. We'll also be giving them a second round pick for their services. Essentially, we're giving the Nets Dalton Connect and a second round pick in order to salary dump Gabe Vincent's contract, essentially. That's what they're getting. The Bucks will also give the Nets a second round pick for their services. I don't think they care. And then the Lakers would be getting Giannis Antetokounmpo. Obviously, he's a package deal with his brother, so they'd also be getting Thanasis. But then they'd also be getting Tyrese Martin from the Nets. I don't know. The Lakers might just end up cutting that dude. And then they'd also be getting Gary Trent Jr., which is actually a useful piece for the Lakers, especially because they've just gutted their team. They're going to need a starter level player besides Giannis back. So getting Gary Trent would be essential. And then they'd also get Amir Coffey, who, is a 6'7" wing that the Lakers can use off the bench. And, given how many players have just gone out, maybe Amir Coffey would have to start. But yeah, so that's the Lakers' end of things. They'd get Giannis Antetokounmpo, Thanasis, Gary Trent Jr., Tyrese Martin, Amir Coffey. I believe the Lakers still have to sign one more player after this, which they can do by around January 19th. They'd be able to sign someone to the prorated veteran minimum, or they could convert one of their two-way guys like Nick Smith Jr., Chris Magnon, Drew Timme to a standard contract, which would be cheaper than the standard veteran minimum. So that is the best offer that I can concoct for the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, I mean, this isn't relative to what other teams in the NBA can, give the Bucks. This is just if I looked at the Lakers asset base, this is the best deal that I can give the Bucks right now. Would they say yes? Would they say no? I'm not sure. Obviously, the best deal is us giving them Luka, which we're not going to do. But in lieu of giving Luka, I think the Bucks mainly will want the 2031 first, Austin Reeves, and Adu Thiero. Maybe they say give us Jake LaRavia too for shits and giggles. But that would be the main part of the package. So yeah, would you guys do that? I don't know. Let me know. But this is the best thing. This is the best package I can give the Bucks. I guess there's a scenario where the Bucks also want Dalton Connect, and we can entice the Brooklyn Nets with a couple of seconds to take Gabe Vincent on. So maybe you put Dalton Connect in this deal. But this, in my opinion, is the most and best that we can offer the Bucks. This is not the most ideal, which is what I'll get. This is not the most ideal trade that the Lakers can make, and hopefully not one that we actually are forced to press the initiate button on. But Yeah, if the Bucks wanted everything, this is the all-in scenario. I'll get to the more ideal scenario from the Lakers standpoint in just a second. So, yeah, digest it. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Before I get into the most ideal trade for the Lakers, um, one second. My stuff is freezing, so I got to get myself back together. Um, one second, one second. All right. So before I get into the most ideal outcome for the Lakers, the one where it doesn't cost us an arm and a leg to, try and get Giannis. Um, quick PSA: I don't have a sponsor for today's show, but I do have a personal plug. Um, for those who don't know, I'm actually a screenwriter on the side, mainly in the kids animation space. And my most recent episode of Barney's World just came out. It is episode 46, season 1. You can catch it on HBO Max. The title is Eyes on the Surprise. So I wrote this episode because of that title pun. There's my name, written by Jonathan Hernandez. That's me. If you guys could do me a favor and check this episode out on HBO Max, if you have HBO Max. If you have kids, please have them watch it. Let me know if they like it. Write to Mattel, who produces the Barney episodes, and tell them to have that Jonathan Hernandez guy back on to write for the show. And if somehow you are a showrunner watching this live stream, let me write for you. So that's my quick PSA for today's show. Check out my episode of Barney's World, season 1, episode 46 on HBO Max. Eyes on the Surprise. It's about a surprise. Eyes on the prize being the pun. I don't have to explain that to you guys. All right, that is my plug for the show. Outside of like this video, comment down below, mash the hype button, please hit subscribe, super chat, super thanks, whatever. Okay, so let's get back to the show. Let's get to the most ideal trade scenario for the Lakers. So I just proposed the all-in scenario where we give the Bucks everything. Now let me pose the one that works best for the Lakers, where we're not charged an arm and a leg for Giannis. So here's the best case scenario for the Lakers. All right, let me run through this with you guys. It's not too dissimilar from the first deal, but with a couple of tweaks. So let me run through this. All right. As with the first deal, we're going to loop the Brooklyn Nets in to help us out with financial logistics. The Lakers would be giving out Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Maxi Kleber to the Milwaukee Bucks. They'd be giving the Bucks their 2031 first-round pick unprotected. They'd be giving the Bucks their 2028 first-round pick swap, however many pick swaps they want. That's what we're giving the Bucks. And then the Lakers would also be trading Dalton Knecht and Gabe Vincent and a second to the Nets in order for the Nets to take on Gabe Vincent's $11 million to make the money work. And then the Lakers in return would be getting Giannis Antetokounmpo and Gary Trent Jr. So in this deal, this is why I think this deal is more favorable to the Lakers. For one thing, we get to keep Jake LaRavia in this deal. And the most important part for, I know all of you guys, is we don't give up Adu Thiero in this deal. I think that's the most important aspect of this most ideal scenario for the Lakers end. If the Lakers can trade for Giannis without giving up Jake LaRavia and Adu Thiero, in my opinion, that's a huge win for us. I don't know if it's possible, but yeah, this is why I call it the most ideal scenario. 1, the Lakers keep Adu Thiero. 2, they keep Jake LaRavia. I mean, we're still going to need a roster to fill this. I mean, we're still going to need legitimate players to fill this roster out, right? And then 2, we also still get Gary Trent Jr. back. I tried to do a scenario where, we bring Thanasis along with Giannis and get Gary Trent Jr., but the money is a lot harder. I think we're still going to need to find a way to loop Thanasis into this entire deal. But the money juggling is just a little bit too hard. So I just made it the ideal scenario where Thanasis doesn't come at all, which would make it even better for the Lakers. So they don't have like a random Antetokounmpo bro like filling a roster spot, because then we'd have Thanasis and Bronny taking up guaranteed spots, and I don't think that's great. So anyways, this is why this is the quote unquote most ideal scenario from the Lakers standpoint of a deal where they aren't gouging, they're not, their eyes aren't being gouged out with regards to having to give up literally anything and everything for Giannis. So in my opinion, this is a little bit of a happy medium. Thanasis is worse than Bronny. That is, 100% true. So yeah, let me know if you guys find this deal a little bit more feasible. If you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan who randomly jumped into this chat, you're probably like pulling your hair out. You're like, there's no way the Bucks would do this, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Okay. So that is the most ideal scenario for the Lakers. Whether it's realistic, I'm not sure, but I already gave you like the best trade package that the Lakers can offer the Bucks. This is now the most ideal scenario for the Lakers with regards to not giving up everything. All right. To close this show, let's talk about if we even want to trade for Giannis in the first place, and then we'll close the show out by talking about how realistic any of this is altogether. So, do we even want to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo? And sorry, let me get my view together here. Yeah. So here's the question. Do we actually want to trade for Giannis if it costs all of this much? And I mainly want to center and frame this question around Austin Reaves, because I think Austin Reaves' meteoric rise and leap this season, for better or for worse, actually makes a Giannis deal more realistic. Because prior to, I mean, if we're just looking at Austin Reaves from last season and we just stopped everything from when the Minnesota Timberwolves series ended and he struggled and was only averaging 16 points per game, and we're like, he had a great season, 20-6, but we see his limitations. If we had stopped everything there and tried to trade for Giannis using Austin, a 2031 first and all this stuff, I don't think a Giannis deal, there wouldn't even, the Bucks wouldn't even pick up the phone. But given what Austin has shown us this season, being like a 28 point, 6 rebound, 7 assist guy on ridiculous percentages and legitimately looking like an all-star player through a pretty sizable sample size. I mean, at this point, we're a fourth of the way through the season. Austin is looking like a, if not a franchise cornerstone, like a number 2 franchise cornerstone, And especially if you're a team on the rebuild, I mean, maybe he is a franchise cornerstone. Maybe he's not like the elite tier franchise cornerstone that you would want, but he's pretty close up there. And if you're looking at a guy like Tyler Hero for the Miami Heat, last season I wouldn't have said, I still would have said Tyler Hero is better than Austin Reaves, but this season, I don't know. They're either on par, or I would actually put Austin Reaves above Tyler Hero. And if you're a team and you are of the mindset that, I can build around a guy like Tyler Hero, then you should be saying the same thing about Austin Reaves. And so I bring up Austin's name because, for better or for worse, and maybe unluckily for him, if he doesn't want to get traded, which I know he doesn't want to get traded, Austin wants to remain a Laker for life. But ironically, him playing as well as he has played this season actually makes him likelier to get dealt in a superstar deal for Giannis, because I feel like the Bucks are starting to maybe scratch their chin a little bit and say, do we want Austin Reaves over some of these other players that other teams are trying to trade us, So I'll go back to the question, do we actually want to trade Austin for Giannis? Because I posed this question on X. I said, what if we could get Herb Jones? What if we use the 2031 first, Dalton Connect, whatever else, to get Herb Jones? Would we rather run with a Luka, Austin Reeves, Herb Jones, LeBron James core, and then in the future, a Luka, Austin Reeves, Herb Jones core? Or would we give up everything to get Luka, Giannis, and Thanasis and whatever else we can get, you know? So I posed that question on X, and let's see what the results are right now, actually. Getting a live update of these polls. So, at least for right now, after 4 hours or so, Lakers Twitter says 69.2% say they would rather build around Luka, AR, and a Herb Jones type player over a Luka, Giannis, and Thanasis type player. So, what do you guys think about that? I can get with that. You know, I understand that, like, you know, both Luka and Giannis need the ball in their hands, and there is some clunkiness to, you know, Giannis not necessarily being a spacer next to Luka. But yeah. So I mean, I can get behind look, if we don't get Giannis and we stick with Austin Reeves, the homegrown talent, and we can somehow build around Luka and Austin's like defensive deficiencies, athleticism deficiencies, and get, you know, Herb Jones, Derek Jones Jr. Let's get both of them actually. If we can do that and start stacking the athleticism and continue to develop a guy like Adu Thiero, I would be perfectly fine with that outcome. I wouldn't be that wistful for Giannis. Having said that, and okay, before I get to the having said that part, and I will admit that it would, from like a personal fan standpoint, it would suck to get rid of a player that we had from day one, that we signed as an undrafted free agent in Austin Reeves, a guy who, along with his agent, maneuvered his way from not getting picked by the Detroit Pistons at about, you know, pick number 40 to make his way into undrafted free agency pool just so that he could sign with the Lakers. Like, he wanted to be a Laker from day one. The Lakers wanted him from day one. They signed him to a two-way contract his rookie year, and shortly after that signed him to a standard deal. From a personal fan point of view, it would suck to get rid of a homegrown talent like Austin Reeves, who seems like he was destined to be a Laker from day one. And then on top of that, for us to see his literal rise into who he has become now, like a legitimate star, or at least a legitimate all-star, right? If he's able to maintain what he's doing through the first fourth of this season. To see that progression and to know that this is someone who loves being a Laker and has pledged his like purple and gold allegiance every step along the way, it would suck to lose someone like that. It just does, you know? Now, having said that, when it comes to the Giannis Antetokounmpo side of things, opportunities to get a Hall of Famer in his prime, because Giannis is just 30 years old, opportunities to get a legitimate Hall of Famer in his prime rarely come. They only come once in a blue moon, if they come at all. And Giannis's prototype, this freakishly lanky, do-it-all, athletic freak who is a perennial MVP defensive player of the year contender, you almost have to do that trade every single time. I believe Giannis won MVP and defensive player of the year at the same time one year, right? And then he won back-to-back MVPs. Like, his accolades and his resume pretty much are go without stating. And I would kind of look at it this way. When the Luka trade happened and I realized that Anthony Davis was getting traded away, my initial gut reaction wasn't excitement for Luka. It was like, wait, we just lost Anthony Davis? Why are we the ones giving the 2029 first round pick? You know, my initial reaction, because of how closely tied I was to Anthony Davis, how much I loved Anthony Davis, that was my gut reaction. Like, I couldn't remove myself from the situation and realize that we had just gotten a generational star in Luka Doncic. I was more focused on, we just lost Anthony Davis. So I would kind of compare that to this situation where we would have to give up Austin Reeves for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, they aren't apples to apples because Austin Reeves is the younger player, but he's actually not that much younger than Giannis. He's already 27 years old. And in this scenario, we're actually trading the 6'5" guard for a 6'10" forward, one of the best 6'10" forwards that the NBA has ever seen. So in the same way that it sucked to lose AD, you have to do that trade 11 times out of 10 to get a generational talent like Luka. And even though there are some injury concerns with Giannis, which I don't really know if they're injury concerns, he hasn't been that injury prone in his career. If the right calf strain worries you, that's a different story. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, for the most part, is not like Anthony Davis. He has been more perennially healthy and durable. So if you can get another generational talent like Giannis, you have to do it, even if it means giving up on the hillbilly Kobe homegrown talent kid, rising star in Austin Reeves to do so, because Luka's window is only so short or so small, and we also don't know how long Luka can play. So you kind of have to strike while the iron is hot, and there's no better way to strike than by getting Giannis Antetokounmpo, who kind of presents that downhill attacking sledgehammer of a force next to Luka Doncic. That would be the ultimate pick and roll partner. On the defensive end, he would cover for all of Luka's flaws and be the Lakers' new defensive anchor. I mean, you are talking about a 30 points per game, 10 rebound, 6 assist guy. And it doesn't even matter that he can't shoot threes at an efficient level, although this year he's shooting 40% from three, albeit on very low volume. But to get a guy like Giannis in a Lakers jersey, and it may only be for the next 5 years, because I don't know how much longer Giannis can continue chugging. But even for those 5 years, I mean, it would be like if we had Kobe at 26 and we traded for Shaq at 30. Or I guess the scenario would kind of be the Miami Heat having Dwayne Wade, and then they trade for 30-year-old Shaq. Was that trade worth it for the Miami Heat? I mean, it was, because they only gave up Lamar Odom and Caron Butler. But anyways, you guys know what I'm saying. This scenario would kind of be we're the Miami Heat. We're trading for Shaquille O'Neal, except we're getting Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's in much better shape than Shaquille O'Neal. And I think Antetokounmpo's prime will be a little bit longer than Shaq's. I mean, the Heat pretty much guaranteed themselves a championship, and they did win a championship. So would we make that type of deal to almost, I don't want to say almost guarantee Luka a championship, but do the best that we can to make sure that Luka wins a chip in a purple and gold jersey? If you look at it that way, in my opinion, you have to do this deal, even though, again, I'm not pining to get rid of Austin Reeves at all costs, So that's what I have to say about whether we want to trade for Giannis or not. If you're in the camp of the Austin Reeves, Herb Jones core, I also won't push back too hard on that either. I mean, clearly the poll right now says most Lakers fans are in the camp of keeping Austin Reeves and just building around Austin and Luka, because the Luka and Kyrie, Luka and Jalen Brunson, Luka next to another primary ball handler dynamic has sort of worked out. At the same time, it hasn't borne out a championship yet. And so is a Giannis type the next piece for Luka? So WC6465 says, which has a higher chance of winning the chip? In my opinion, it's always the wing. You always go with the wing first, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo. So Giannis Antetokounmpo gives us the higher chance of winning a championship. So that's where I'll leave it. And then, okay, so let's close this episode out by talking about how realistic is any of this. On the outset, if Milwaukee opens this Giannis bidding war up to the whole league, the Lakers don't have a very realistic chance, because we don't have enough young blue chip players to even offer up the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, again, I just listed our best assets out. It's a 27-year-old Austin Reeves who's on an expiring contract. And then it's a Duthiero who's still, as much as as exciting as he has been, he's still a huge question mark. So if Milwaukee opened this bidding, if Milwaukee opened up a bidding war across the league, the Lakers don't have a realistic chance. They don't have enough young blue chip prospects, and they don't have enough first round picks is the other thing. Maybe if this happened during the offseason and we signed and traded Austin to the Bucks, and we could also leverage our 2026 first round draft pick on draft night or after draft night when we've made the pick, maybe there's like a better argument. But even then, other teams like the Hawks, the Spurs have both young blue chip prospects who can actually play, like Stephon Castle, and they also have multiple first round picks that they can offer the Bucks. We have a 27-year-old Austin Reeves, a Thiero, and the 2031 first. So it's not realistic, Teams like San Antonio have the best shot because of everything that I mentioned. And even a team like the Hawks, who have multiple premium first round picks, including the Pelicans 2026 first round pick unprotected. I can't believe they did that, even though Derek Queen has been playing very well. The Hawks just have a plethora of first round picks out of the wazoo. And even though they don't have, I don't think they trade Jalen Johnson for Giannis, obviously. They have Zachary Reese-Shea, they have Trae Young to use as salary ballast, and they even have a guy like Onyeka Okongwu, even a guy like Vit Krejci, who's only making $2 million over the next 3 years. I feel like that's right on, if Vit Krejci was on the Lakers, he would probably be the third best asset we have to trade, So even the Hawks have a deal that could potentially be better than the Lakers, or not potentially, it would just be better than the Lakers. Having said all of that, I don't think this is going to be an open bidding war for Giannis, as we've already kind of learned. The Knicks had one-on-one discussions with the Bucks this summer, and I think it's going to turn into, for everything that Giannis has done for the Milwaukee Bucks franchise, the Bucks are going to allow Giannis to, it seems like, choose his next destination to an extent. So if Giannis has the Lakers on his short list of preferred destinations, that's where this whole paradigm gets shifted and it becomes a little bit more interesting. Because if the pool of competitive teams vying for Giannis's services boils down to the Lakers, the Knicks, the Heat, I don't even know where Giannis would want to go. Chicago, if the competition pool is just, if we're only having to compete with the Knicks, maybe even the Hawks, then I think the Lakers have a legitimate shot, because Austin Reeves, and again, this is a beauty is in the eye of the beholder sort of thing. It depends on what the Milwaukee Bucks actually want. Do they want several Stephon Castles and then 3 first round picks? Or, and I'm actually, this is a bad analogy. Let's say the Lakers' main competition for Giannis' services are the New York Knicks. Do the Bucks want a 28-year-old injury-prone OG Anunoby, who, by the way, is making $39 million this year and has a player option for $48 million in 28-29? Do they want to trade for that type of player who's rarely ever available? And then on top of it, do they really want a 30-year-old Karl Anthony Towns who has a player option for $61 million through 2027-28? The Knicks, because they signed Mikal Bridges to an extension, can't trade Mikal Bridges. So the Knicks can't even get the Bucks can't even get the Knicks' best prime young asset, So are the Knicks, I'm not even sure how many unprotected first round picks the Knicks can offer the Bucks, but would that be enough for the Bucks to pull the trigger on a Giannis deal? Or would the Bucks prefer a 27-year-old Austin Reeves, the 2031 first round pick unprotected, pick swaps, a Thiero, Jake LaRavia, et cetera, et cetera? I don't know, but I think, in my opinion, if we're stacking up who's the best player who can play right now and maybe even give you a little bit of leeway into the future, Austin Reeves, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns. If I'm the Bucks and I'm blowing up my team, I'm picking Austin Reeves, because a 27-year-old Austin Reeves can be the primary offensive engine for your team right now, but also for the next iteration of your team as well. And so, in my opinion, even though, like, in a vacuum, if you're trying to win a championship or whatever, maybe you pick OG Anunoby or you pick like Karl Anthony Towns, like Austin Reeves is the best asset and player for a rebuilding team, in my opinion. So if you're starting from that standpoint, then the Lakers' offer to the Bucks becomes a lot more realistic. And then even if you look at the Atlanta Hawks, as I mentioned, unless the Hawks are willing to give up Jalen Johnson, do the Bucks would the Bucks rather have Trae Young or Austin Reeves? In my opinion, they'd rather have Austin Reeves. Would the Bucks rather have Trae Young, Onyeka Okongwu, Zachary Risachet, or Austin Reeves? I would rather have Austin Reeves. I have Zachary Risachet in fantasy this year. He's bad. He doesn't really do much. So, I mean, not to say that that's the end all be all of everything, but all that to say, if I'm the Bucks, if I'm looking at a good combo of not only just first round picks down the line, but actual players that I can sell my fan base to, it's Austin Reeves over Trae Young and all these other, riffraff of other players, because I'm not exactly trying to like win right now either, even though I think Austin Reeves would help them win now. So yeah, if we go to the Spurs, would the Spurs be willing to give up Stephon Castle? If not, then what's their trade package? De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper? Maybe Carter Bryant? Okay, I could see the Bucks actually wanting that package over Austin Reeves, but let's say it's De'Aaron Fox as the main central player that the Spurs are sending out, plus first round picks. I don't know. Last year I would have said De'Aaron Fox over Austin Reeves every single time, but given what Austin's done this year, it's a question mark at this point. So, anyways, I guess I'll close it here. I think because of the way that this is going to play out, with the Bucks allowing Giannis to sort of not handpick his next destination, but have a real say in where he goes next, Giannis is going to have more of the leverage here in dictating where he wants to go. And maybe the Bucks will kind of move off of that and realize, like, no, we're just going to get the best offer available. You just have to sit tight. And that could very well be the case. If that's the case, then the Lakers don't have a realistic shot. If we're talking about the scenario where Giannis has the Lakers number 2 or even number 3, and then the Bucks are just looking at the best offer from the Knicks, Lakers, and Hawks, I think the Lakers have a pretty good shot with Austin Reeves, the 2031 first, Jake LaRavia, Adu Thiero. I don't want to do that, but it will probably, it's going to be a discussion. The Bucks are going to be like, put the young, high-flying kid into the overall package. But yeah, I mean, if that's what it's going to take to get Giannis, I think you gotta do it. I mean, just think about Giannis in a Lakers jersey next to Luka Doncic. I mean, this is the guy who, Kobe challenged to win MVP, and he actually did it, so that would just be. And then for 1 year, I mean, for at least 1 year, to see Giannis, LeBron, and Luka playing on the same court together, I mean, I could see it being a little bit clunky, but it could also be just the second iteration, third iteration of Showtime in the craziest sense, so. And trading for Giannis is so very Lakers of the Lakers that it seems like everything's aligning to this point. But unless Giannis says that the Lakers are on his short list of preferred destinations, I will for now sort of just, have a side eye on this whole situation. But I think given Austin Reeves' rise this year, he makes a Giannis trade this season a lot more possible than I ever thought. There is also the scenario, by the way, where the Lakers wait this out and wait till Giannis is a free agent, but it seems like they're trying to get this resolved within this season. And so if that's the case, the Lakers are going to have to come to the table with their best offer. I already gave you their best offer at the top of this show. Whether or not that's enough for the Bucks, I do not know, but this is what we have to offer. So take it or leave it, And if Giannis says, it's Lakers or bust, which doesn't seem like it's Lakers or bust. It's either Knicks and then whoever else after that. But if Giannis says the Lakers are in his top 3 destinations, then yeah, the Lakers have a chance, and they have to see what the Bucks will want. So, yeah, with that said, that'll do it for this episode, this impromptu show. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found some insight into that. But yeah, with that said, please like the video. Please comment down below. Please share. Please mash the hype button on YouTube. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, whatever, please subscribe to the feed. Also, once again, HBO Max, watch Barney's World, Season 1, Episode 46, Eyes on the Surprise. Your boy wrote that episode. I also wrote A Work of Parts. I don't know what episode number that is. Number 32, I think. But you can tell I wrote it because of all the puns. But regardless, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and I will catch you guys next time, Giannis or not. Peace.